Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Must be Thursday again because we're here at Bite Size Media, a subsidiary
of Off Slate Media, because we're Off Slate Media.
Yes. We are continuing our journey through Sherlock. Now we're on the Series 4, Pinky Out, Episode 2.
Yep, The Lying Detective.
This has Computer Guy from Marvel.
Toby Jones.
What's the name of the character?
Isn't it like Arnim Zola?
Yeah, that's right. I like that character.
Yeah, Toby Jones, one of those character actors. You know, he's a shorter guy. He's got a very recognizable face.
A lot of World War II stuff.
Yeah, just the man's made a living off of being a character actor, and we love him for it.
Oh yeah, I have. Brain. Oh jeez.
You have a brain.
Not right now. It fell out my ear. Might be there on the ground. Yeah. So, what was I gonna say about this episode? I have no idea what to expect in it. I'm hoping it's a little bit more regularly paced than the previous episode. That's really all I have to say about it.
I'm hoping for some, at least, tidbits of answers to things, mainly as we talked about in depth last week, that John seemingly cheated on Mary before her, spoilers, demise. And that's why, but the way it's executed in the last episode makes us wonder if there's more to it, which is how the show has functioned, but it's not done super well. So, where I would say clarity is an issue now, whereas before it'd be like, well, we don't have the full picture, and that is still the case, but the way they do it, it's like, no, it really is unclear. It's like not even giving us anything.
I feel like in previous seasons, we were given clarity by the time the end, like, I feel like by the time the end of the show rolled around, there was clarity to everything.
Or at least something, but instead it's, he sees her, and we're just led to believe, oh, he's cheating, so if we are playing right into their hands, okay, but it's just kind of a weird thing to shoehorn in there. I feel like if there's more to it, they wouldn't even have this be a big thing until like this episode, if it continues. But people seem to like this one.
What's the rating on this one?
9.1 on IMDb.
Oh, wow. That is
which is not super high because there are plenty of 9 points episodes.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I've been following this the whole time.
But like IMDb is usually lower rating-wise anyways.
Yeah, well, it's the people's ratings, so it's going to be just kind of how audiences feel. That's why when you look at like the IMDb top 250 or whatever it is now, I can't even remember. Like it's a lot of crowd pleasers. Which makes sense because it's just normal movie watching people who rate things. At least 3 episodes are higher rated than this one. So it's in the upper half of what people think about it. But, so it tells us, okay, this hopefully will be, if not good, or if not just good, but feeling like an older Sherlock episode.
What was the previous one rated?
A 7.6.
Oh, okay.
Which is much lower.
There is a significant gap there.
But that's what it says here. And again, that's IMDb. I don't agree with things on IMDb plenty of times. There are episodes for shows. It's like, wow, that's really low rated. And I'll watch it and go, I actually really like that. And then the inverse of, this is really high rated, and I thought it was fine.
Well, I mean, that can happen with any sort of critical analysis, even from professionals. Everybody has it boils down to everybody has their own taste.
It's different with professionals, though, because it's one person's opinion. Whereas this is like, it's, in this case, 29,000 people have voted on this one.
Well, I mean, when you're talking about Rotten Tomatoes, it's the aggregate of all of.
Yeah, I don't listen to. I'll look at what the score is, just to like what are people saying, but it's not like it's canon law.
Well, I mean, yeah, that is case in point. The Man of Steel reviews are like 51%, or at least they were a while ago. I don't necessarily agree with that.
No, the whole point being, it's such a jump, so it tells me that this episode is back to what feels like Sherlock, or at least people like it. But we'll see. Last week was frustrating, but still fun at times and decent. We'll see if this one lives up to what people reacted to.
All right. Anything else to say before we get started? I'm really curious to know what happens. We hope you are too. We'll see you in a bit, but until then, let's
take a bite.
Hello, everybody. If you were watching along with us, you just that was quite the twist right at the end. It didn't feel tacked on either, like series 2 when they tacked Moriarty onto the end of it.
At the end of the Hounds of Baskerville.
Yeah.
Because what did we say about the first two middle episodes of the first two series? Middle episode is kind of an episodic one-off adventure that has something connected to the third episode right at the end, whereas series 3, possibly again my favorite episode, is not like that.
Are you talking about the middle episode of series? Okay.
Because since this is the last middle episode we have, it's an interesting one too. It's bridging the gap between what I assume is the first and last episode of the series. It's doing a lot of heavy lifting character-wise, whereas the central mystery to the episode kind of
isn't really a mystery.
Yeah,
because he's pretty clearly a serial killer.
Yeah, the
entire time.
It kind of takes a backseat. Like it's in the car, but it's not. It's not the focus.
It kind of tried to do the same. It did what the first episode did not do well.
It did a lot of things that the first episode did not do well.
Well, I mean, this is just evidence that pacing is key. Just absolutely key.
And not just pacing, structure.
Because, like what you said, like, I was watching this particularly in the boardroom, scene.
Which was very long. The opening boardroom scene.
They're cutting back and forth the stuff, but they're going back to it so we get to see the rest of it. It's not like, oh, now we're on a plane. Oh, now we're in the airport. Oh, now we're in Iran.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, we're not pulling the rug out from you on who is the culprit. We know who it is, and even he's not going to lie about it. It's more about Sherlock's mental state and his drug use kind of making everything chaotic. Like the opening sequence of him after Faith, quote unquote, spoilers of course, and he kind of has that like breakdown, by I believe that's the Thames.
You mean in the street?
Right before that too, like that, all that stuff, like when he's yelling over the railing looking at the water.
Okay.
And then the stuff in the street, like when he's losing it, I think that's the strongest part of the episode. It's mostly about reconciling the two, and you did say, like, they can't really have a show without the two of them together. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, that's why the last episode felt a bit contrived and like, well, we have to cause a rift to bring them back together in the next episode. How do we do that? Okay, we kill off Mary. But then we make it like Sherlock's fault in Watson's mind, even though it's not true. But he wasn't there to witness Sherlock pushing.
And again, he was cheating on, like, they resolve it well in this. Him telling Mary's image that, and just watching her react, which, hats off to the lady that plays Mary. I don't know her name.
Right here. Where are you? Amanda Abington.
Because, like, acting through that emotion when you're not supposed to have the normal emotion that a character would have, because she already knows because she's in his mind.
Yep.
Well, at the same time, kind of giving that hint of that emotion, like, it's very complex, and she did it very well.
Yeah. That was some of the heavy lifting of the episode, where we focus a lot on her, like the vision of her in Watson's mind, because that's how he's grieving and processing. And that scene at the end is very good, where he tells her, and then I like how Sherlock comforts him, and he admits to the cheating. I think Sherlock tries to alleviate some of the weight at the end there by saying it was just texting, and in my mind it's like, and then you said it out loud.
I don't really think that, okay, again, this is just me, white Christian male, take it for what it is. I don't think that anyone seriously married would say, it's just texting. Especially not with what we were shown that he was texting. And by his own admission said, this can't continue. That means it wasn't. I mean, it was, but it wasn't emotionally.
It was a form of intimacy, and we stated last week how it doesn't have to be physical to be cheating. In our perspective, at least,
it was going outside of an agreement that you have made with a woman and getting something you need outside of that woman.
Yeah, something intimate you need.
Yes.
Yeah, because remember, he even said, like, I wanted more. So that was...
So I like that they resolved it like that. I still think knowing that undercuts the emotionality when she's dying in that first episode. This episode makes me wish that the first episode was better.
Yeah, and the other thing is, if they go into it a tiny bit more in that first episode, how busy and chaotic it is, or if you have the weight of him realizing what he had too late, which is weird because I feel like he always valued her.
What if they don't... That's another thing where everything changes when you have a kid and emotions do weird things.
But also, you're saying
that
what
as
if
a
they
person
showed,
that hasn't had a kid?
Yeah, me either. You're saying they should have shown it and not told us if he did or not, and then in this episode revealed that he cheated.
I think they should have waited for the text reveals. Like, they've done the cross-episode things before. Like,
you're saying hint at it, and we're like, is he? No. And then the death happens, and then at the end of this, when he says something, it's more impactful. Because then we
see his reaction to the death and go, okay, no, he didn't do that. That's okay. But, like, we have a definite, yes, he was doing something. If you don't even want to call it cheating, something wrong. He was doing something wrong in the context of his marriage. He knows it, and he's, like, it undercuts. I have a problem with it.
Yeah, and like I said to you, we're just two guys not in the industry in any way, in a basement, coming up with, filmmaking 101 stuff. It's like, we're nobodies, and if we could sit here and go, I think that would work better. I think that's kind of a failure of the structure and writing of it. If we, sitting here, can figure out something at least that works better. Mm-hmm. They're professionals. They've got a team of writers, and I
still can appreciate that other episode for what it tries to do, but it tries to do so much, and then didn't really need to do it to sell me what it ultimately sold me.
And again, on the Watson not being there for Mary getting shot, like him coming just a moment later, where in this episode he is trying to restrain Sherlock and then starts beating him up, and there's the whole, like, I killed his wife. He's like, yeah, you did. It's like, I turned to you and said, man, that would feel a lot heavier if again, he was there and present to Sherlock pushing.
If he was the one, yeah.
And again, what did I say last week? If you have Watson and Mary in the scene trying to stop him as he's, making his deductions verbally, making her shoot him, or try to shoot him, and then Mary saves, Watson's there for it and trying to stop him. I feel like that's stronger. Now, you can't do the whole, because then he can kind of blame him. It falls into this thing of, they want him to blame Sherlock for that.
But he's blaming him also for something he didn't witness.
Yeah, what they're trying to do is he has to be mad at him and cause the rift, but it can't be something where it's actually Sherlock's fault. Mm-hmm. It's in that weird area of, well, we can't make him irredeemable in this situation, but it's you kind of got to pick one. Otherwise, it just feels contrived.
I think that would be more powerful if he saw that, and he had option to blame him and legitimacy to blame him, but was
but then chose to forgive him.
Yeah, like
again,
like,
yeah, that's stronger stuff.
Forgiveness is more powerful than, well, I just can't blame you.
Yeah, it's, again, where nobody's sitting here coming up with this. You know, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but I feel like the failure to structure and execute well in the first episode has led to some lighter stuff in that second episode. It's still good, but it's a little lighter than it could have been.
Although I will say, when Martin Freeman dropped the "I didn't know he had a scalpel" line, and then you see Sherlock with it, like, that caught me off guard because he's not been violent until this series.
Yeah. Oh, he's all drugged up, and
that's the other thing I think in processing it, I'm not gonna like it as much because throughout the series he's had a very real problem with drugs.
Yep.
And like this, they kind of make it seem like it was on purpose to mend fences with John, and I just don't know. That's kind of, it's not. I get it.
It's kind of like Mary from Beyond the Grave in that message is kind of pushing him to hurt himself to save John.
Yeah.
Kinda. It's a little weird. Like, she doesn't straight up tell him to use. It's just, you've got to make yourself low to have him save you. But it also does feel like she's kind of telling someone to hurt themselves. I don't know how I feel about that.
It's not bad, but it's just, it teeters this thing where it's like, I don't think you needed to do this to... I don't think you needed to make him do this intentionally to make it work.
Yeah. But as you can see, it was purposeful to get low like that, but you can tell he is out of control. Like, he can't control this. And then the reveal of the sister being,
I just want to say Faith. I called it back in, what was it, series 3
or something,
like the third episode, and you thought I was saying she was John's sister, Pasha.
In the moment, though, when she was talking, I'm like, oh, that's it. It's not a brother. It's a sister. Mm-hmm. And it's her. But I didn't see the fake Faith thing.
No, that was an interesting...
I was like, oh.
I wonder if it's the same actress that plays her.
I wonder if it is, too.
Because she looks rather like her.
She does. I wonder if what she's credited as. So it ends up being the woman on the bus is Sherlock's sister.
That's what I would assume.
Yeah, and she's playing some sort of game because Mycroft is in on something, or at least aware of something, and she was operating. So it sounds like she's an antagonist. So,
but what have we been calling her? Sherman something.
Sheriford?
Shermanford.
Sheriford, I think is what they're saying. Where are you? They might be two different people. But
maybe.
I digress. They do look similar. I did not, and I remember thinking, like, how would he not recognize, and then I realized, well, he saw the woman once, and here we are sitting here not recognizing her, despite seeing the therapist, quote-unquote, more than the woman on the bus.
And he was high.
I was talking about Watson.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Sherlock.
No, Sherlock, like, she's in disguise and he's high, like, that one speaks for herself, but, like, Watson's like, how would he not know? Oh, he saw the woman once, and then she's in a disguise and in a completely different...
and it's totally believable that Sherlock would make it up because he was high.
Yeah. I was talking about the woman being in disguise, though, as the therapist.
Yeah, that's why he wouldn't recognize her.
Watson.
Yes.
You said Sherlock.
I'm talking about both. I was talking about Sherlock. I switched to Watson.
Gotcha.
You were talking about Watson.
Gotcha. That's what I was confused. I was like, well, yeah, Sherlock's not going to recognize her. He's high.
Yeah,
like,
you said that.
Yeah, that one didn't need to be said. It's like Watson sitting there with her. I was convinced. Okay, it makes sense because he saw her once in the other one. She's in disguise and putting on the accent.
Yeah, I mean, you saw her take out her contacts.
Yep.
That made me feel a little bit better about the cheating, knowing that he was getting played.
it still is kind of like he's still
engaged with it.
Yeah, but he is getting played. It's a little bit of an alleviation, but he's still
maybe just more of it's a little bit of just desserts. Getting shot, maybe a little bit too much just desserts.
Yeah.
But
and she's working for Moriarty from beyond the grave.
Whoa.
So that's its connection. So one more episode.
I wonder if he's going to be in that final episode. I figure he had to be.
Or at least in his head.
In some capacity.
Yeah.
I wonder what the explanation...
It's funny how the character has been
unless she's not working for him.
Something. I mean, the note said "miss me" on it, and she placed the note in there.
Yeah, but we don't know what's happened to the three of them ever.
It's true. I was gonna say it's funny how Moriarty's been dead for almost 2 full series.
Yeah. But
he's still such an integral part. That's just how powerful of a character and performance. Like, it's so good. That's probably the strongest part of the show outside of the 2 leads is Moriarty.
I don't know. Mary's pretty great too.
Yeah, up there. But Andrew Scott is on a different plane than most.
Here's an interesting question. Based on what we've seen so far, which is the better performance, Cumberbund or Freeman?
I don't think you can rank. I think it works together so well that you just they're kind of tied.
I don't know. I don't know. Most of the moments that we've talked about going, yeah, it's really good. Freeman doing his Emmy thing.
I don't know. We laugh a lot at what Cumberbund does.
It's fair.
Like, we react about the same. That's why I say both need to play off each other to be effective, and it's done so well. I don't think you pick one. I think they need each other.
It's fair. Because
one is just unhinged without the other, and then the other one kind of needs that thing to react to. It's the action-reaction thing.
Fair. How about Mrs. Hudson in this episode?
Didn't expect her to be driving.
Yeah,
that got me.
I didn't expect that.
And then
him
either.
In
the trunk is great. Like, if I have time, she just opens the second she went to the trunk. Oh my gosh,
he's in the boot. Oh, also, I love this English expression. He's been off his tits for a while. I love it so much.
They said it twice. I looked at you and just. Yeah, it was a good episode. It was a step up from the last one. Not perfect.
No,
but it felt like previous Sherlock stuff. The last episode is feeling more and more like an anomaly, but we still have 1 episode to go that is more divisive than this one. So we'll see how it ends.
We will. You good?
Yeah, I think.
All right. Well, we are gonna not conclude, but we're getting close. This is what we would call is penultimate the right word? Is next week?
Well, this is the penultimate episode of the series.
Sorry,
next week is the end, but then we will have 1 more week after that.
So we have the series, the show finale at this point for Sherlock next week, and then we have something special planned for you. We're going to keep that kind of under our hats. What is the title of next week's episode?
The Final Problem.
The Final Problem. I wonder if we're going to go over some more Reichenbach polls.
Yeah, it's the final episode that they have produced for the show. They have talked about bringing it back, but it's been 7 years, so who knows if they ever will.
That is so hard to believe.
I know, but we also got to see what happens in this episode. But that's next week.
And until then, if you want to find us, Jared, where can they find us?
You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, the funny TikTok, and X,
formerly known as Twitter.
And you can listen to us on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. And hey, if it's YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, ring our bell. Make sure you like and rate us on all those apps. And check out our groovy website.
And if you want to follow us along as we solve more mysteries, come on back next Thursday. Until then, let's
take a bite.